Wow. 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 Shocking. Shocking. Shocking boxing news. As it has been told to me and confirmed to me by a spokesperson from the Premier Boxing Champions, better known as the PBC, that they are looking to finalize and have been negotiating a deal between former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who is 31 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 23 wins by way of knockout, 36 years of age, 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach, that the PBC and Keith Thurman have finally, after years, convinced the former unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., who has 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'9", with a 72-inch arm reach. They have finally, after years, convinced Errol Spence to take a fight with Keith Thurman. That is super shocking, to say the least, because Errol Spence was chasing Keith Thurman since 2017. When Keith Thurman was the unified WBC, WBA welterweight champion. After he beat, in March of 2017, he beat and unified the belts against Danny Garcia. He had the WBA, Danny Garcia had the WBC. He beat Danny Garcia, became the unified champion. In May of 2017, Errol Spence fought for his first world title opportunity when he fought against Kell Brook in 2017. So just 2 months later. And now you had all the belts on the same side of the street. You had 3 of the 4 belts. You had the WBA, the WBC, and the IBF. And Errol Spence pressed Keith Thurman at that point. We're with the same side of the street. Let's make this fight. Errol Spence pressed Keith Thurman on telecast, in front of the world, press conferences, interviews, you name it, he pressed Keith Thurman to let's get this fight going. And Keith Thurman was reluctant to take the fight. He was reluctant to take the fight, okay? And Keith Thurman then went on a hiatus for 2 years, unfortunately. For 2 years. And then in June, so you had Manny Pacquiao, who was the WBO welterweight champion at the time. Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was the WBO champion now. And Errol Spence was chasing Keith Thurman or Jeff Horn. Then Terrence Crawford came in the picture in June of 2018, the next year, right? That summer. The next summer. Terrence Crawford stops Jeff Horn and beats Jeff Horn in the ninth round, stops him and becomes a WBO champion. But in the meantime, Manny Pacquiao was the champion and Jeff Horn was the champion, right? And Keith Thurman was trying to fight Jeff Horn, but then was ducking Errol Spence. And later on admitted that he viewed Errol Spence as his Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather fight, his big marquee money fight. So he was trying to let it season and marinate for as long as possible. Then he said the Premier Boxing Champion founder and advisor Al Heyman was never sending him a contract, wasn't on board with it. So it was just talk. So nonetheless, he dragged his feet and he went on a hiatus for 2 years, to the point where the WBC just stripped Keith Thurman due to inactivity. Then he came back, fought Josito Lopez, beat him, almost got knocked out to the body. And then he fought Manny Pacquiao in the summer and lost to Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao picked up the WBA title. Then we know the rest is history. Ugas beats Manny Pacquiao after Errol Spence was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao for that unification bout, but he suffered an eye injury. Then Ugas beats Manny Pacquiao. Then Errol Spence stops Ugas and takes the belt and becomes the 3-belt champion. But from 2017, when Keith Thurman came back and fought Josito Lopez, Errol Spence was like, okay, let's make it happen. Keith Thurman said, this is my get-back year. That's what he said. He said, this is my get-back year, and I'm not going to be forced into a fight with Errol Spence or a rematch with Sean Porter, because Sean Porter was pressing for his opportunity to rematch Keith Thurman. So he said, I'm not rematching Sean Porter, I'm not fighting Errol Spence, and I'm not fighting Terrence Crawford because Terrence Crawford is a small guy and I don't recognize the WBO title. So Keith Thurman was playing the role of politics. And he lost to Manny Pacquiao. Then Errol Spence got the belt. Keith Thurman again went on a hiatus for another couple years, came back for Mario Barrios. And at that point, Errol Spence was done with Keith Thurman. He was done with Keith Thurman. He was like, listen, don't mention Keith Thurman to me. No interest in fighting Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is a clown. He's a joke. And I simply have no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. So Errol Spence had been pushing the Keith Thurman fight to the side. And he's like, no, this dude don't represent anything for me. I'm not interested. And Errol Spence then finally goes on and gets the mega fight against Terrence Crawford. And we know what happened there. He gets stopped by Terrence Crawford and he loses the fight to Terrence Crawford, right? And Errol Spence, we haven't seen him in the ring since July 2023 when he lost to Terrence Crawford, going on 2 years. And now Keith Thurman came back. He had a comeback fight in Australia. He's trying to get his feet back under him. And now the PBC is trying to make the biggest fights possible. And they're looking at Keith Thurman and Errol Spence in August. And from what I'm being told, they have now convinced Errol Spence to make the fight with Keith Thurman. Okay, so that's what I'm being told. They have now convinced Errol Spence to make the fight with Keith Thurman, and they're trying to finalize a deal for this fight to take place in August. So, I like the fight. You know what I'm saying? I personally like the fight. I always loved the fight. The idea of the fight. I'm on board with the fight. The facts is Keith Thurman's inactivity, Errol Spence inactivity. We don't know what Errol Spence is going to look like. So it's interesting, right? They're on a level playing field. I know people look at it and say, well, Errol Spence took a lot of punishment against Terrence Crawford. He had the car injury, so on and so forth. Keith Thurman have glaring weaknesses. He has glaring weaknesses. So, with that said, Errol Spence, I still think is aggressive to the body, and it's going to be at 154. So, let's see how it unfolds and plays out, man. It's going to be interesting. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace. What y'all think about this fight? Let me know. Peace.